You'd realize that in our schools, the average student studies for grades, for certificates, for titles, just to pass exams, but not really for relevance. We are not trained to solve real world problems. And by the time you get back into the job market, you realize that you're not really ready. It starts with having the real and difficult conversations about skill sets, about purpose, about the world of work, and what it actually is. And that's why we started the Science Group Institute, which is a youth-led space where we bring industry into the classroom and explore fresh ways to build global careers. I mean, the future of work is already here. We see it in AI, in remote work, digital skills, and the constant change. If we don't adapt, we get left behind. Now, what do we have to do to stay relevant? We need more than just degrees. We need to be adaptable. We need self-mastery, strategy, creativity, access, and the right exposure. So future-proofing is all about preparing for change before it even comes. Exactly. The show is an open floor dialogue room where youth like you and I can talk to real industry players, mentors, and creators, where we get to ask the tough questions by bringing in guests both online and in person. So we get to explore not just what's out there, but what we need to become to thrive in it. We ask a lot of questions, but things like, what are employers really looking for now? Or how can I build a global career from here, from wherever I find myself? Is it too late to change direction? How do I choose the right career path when the world keeps changing? Or what if I don't have the right connections? We go deep, we get practical, and we bring truth to Can you zoom out? It's too big. I think it's missing some key portions. It worked for you. Ooh. Can someone help me share it with me? Mm, wonderful. Do we all have it on our phones? Just a few questions. We won't take that long with this one. There's a lot more to talk about. So, to start with, do we all have it on our phones? Yeah. The first question, which says, in one word, how does your job currently, your current job, make you feel right now? In just one word, how does your job make you feel? Think about it. Yes, so put it in the space for the word and then submit. In one word, how does your job make you feel right now? That's if you're working. So if you're a student, how does your current course make you feel right now? Think of it in line with career development, career pathways. While we wait for the, okay, good. Ooh, I was not expecting some of the answers there. Great. So I'm seeing all right. I'm seeing meh. I'm seeing engaged, excited. Oh, twice excited, two people. That's nice to know. Active, that must be you, Senna. You didn't join. Oh, anxious, important, important. That sounds like tying an identity to your job. We'll come back to that. Tired girl. You have to see TNU. Depressed. I want to speak to that person. Aspirational. That was me. Okay, next question. Next. How did you end up in your current job? If it's the course, how did you end up in your current course? So the options are I planned it and I pursued it, or I followed an interest and it led me here. So it wasn't what you planned, but then your interest led you. The third is I needed a job and this was available. We also have I jammed at an unexpected opportunity. And the last one is no idea, but we're here. We're just getting by. Do we see the next question? Do you all see it? No? I think it's lagging a little. Ooh. Hmm. Yeah, but you can see it, right? Do we all have it reflected on our phones, the question that we see there? No? Or can someone just, offer to tell us how, so please go back to the previous question. We have just 4 minutes left for this session. It's supposed to be an icebreaker. Yes, so anybody, how did you end up in your current job or course? Mm-hmm. Energy here. Wonderful. How many of us followed an interest? Lovely. Anyone who had no idea but still here anyway? Lovely. And those who planned it, I want to meet those ones. You knew what you wanted to do and you went for it. Wonderful. Then you jumped at something unexpected. I think that would be me. Great. So next question. Next. Did your education prepare you for the work you do today? Sufficiently. That's honest. Who will say not at all? You have one hand. Averagely. I want to see the one who say absolutely. Who was absolutely prepared by the education? Absolutely. What you learned, you are living it. So we are still borderline sufficiently, but one person. Okay, the next question. In one word, how ready are you for the future of your career? So background to the question would be, do you see where you want to get to? And do you believe that where you are now makes you ready? Yes. So at least you see it. That's a good step. Who doesn't see it? Who doesn't see it? Larry. You see something. Okay. Any more questions? Ooh. Is your current work connected to the work you actually want to do? 100% aligned, because where you want to get to, where you are, will definitely take you there. Or you're close, you're on the path, but the alignment is not so crisp. Or not really, you're just paying bills. Or at least, I heard the word survival earlier.
Surviving.
Yeah. Nice. Or worlds apart. What you're doing is completely different from what you could do. Wonderful. So I think this brings us to the end of the icebreaker. And the aim is to let you ask the questions that maybe you've put them as redundant in your mind. You want to bring them back to life and then answer them for yourself. One thing I realized about mentorship or dealing with, professionals, no one person can show you what to do. But we realize that we expect that of our employers, of our parents, of our leaders, to be the ones to show you the way. I once went for a conference and one youth stood up and said, "We've heard everything you're talking about. What we haven't heard is show us the way." They want to be told, do A, follow with B, it will all the way take you to Z. Is that feasible? Do we believe that's how leadership guidance work? That's just food for thought. So hi, welcome to the Times Talk Show. We are officially starting the conversation. Today's theme is non-linear career pathways. What we know about career paths would be to have a plan for a particular end goal, enter into it, and seek promotion. So you become the top of the chain.
Yeah.
So we like to hear CEO or MD. Yes. But then we are in a world where even the job roles are fast changing. What we knew 20 years ago, some don't exist anymore. Some new ones have come up. I believe if you ask a primary school student right now what they want to be, they'll still tell you what we already know. Doctor, lawyer, pharmacist, engineer.
Yeah.
But would you hear a primary school student saying, "I want to be a social media manager"? You are most likely not going to hear UX UI designer.
Yeah.
So how fast it is changing, are we on board? But this leads me to my first question to you, Sana.
Sure.
I think you are a classic for non-linear career pathway, from banking to health. Now I know you have a master's in public health.
Yes, I do.
How did you know what path to take in the first place, starting from where you were?
Well, it's quite interesting. I did maths and computer science in the university, and I think when I was in 200, something kept, I was just getting this nudge to switch course. But I just didn't have the confidence to, because I was afraid of what my friends were going to say. Because we had some friends who left the maths department to other courses. And they kind of ridiculed them because, they are struggling with the course. So I was very concerned about what people were going to say. And I made that choice for the maths computer science because my best friend chose maths. And I thought, okay, I'm actually quite good at maths. So why don't I just go in and do maths? I actually won an award for best female math student in level 200. But I still felt it wasn't the right course for me. But I still just hung in there because I wanted to just follow, the masses. When I completed school, a very good family friend of my dad said he used to work at the Bank of Ghana. He said, "Oh, Sana, you know what? No matter what you do, just aspire to work for Bank of Ghana because that's the best place to work in Ghana. Because when you retire, on that, whatever level you retire at, when there's a promotion, you're still going to enjoy it, even though you're on retirement." And that sounded like, this is like a dream come true. You mean when I'm home, retired, I can still get promotion? Yeah. So that was my aspiration. So I completed, my first degree. I did PMP. I did CFA level 100. I mean, that's like chartered financial analyst. I did all that, and I knew I was just on the path, to that finance thing. So I got my first job in a bank. And then along the way, I mean, there were many banks that came up, and I heard that, oh, this bank pays really, really well. So, of course, I applied and got the chance. I went there, and I was really having a great time, following the banking thing. Then I got pregnant. When I got pregnant, I gained so much weight. And I didn't like how I was looking or how I was feeling. So I began to just research, how do I get rid of this excess weight and still take care of my baby well? And then I explored different lifestyle, recommendations, and it worked for me. I lost over 25 kg, and then I lost 11 inches of my waistline, and I was still working in the bank. So when I went back to the bank, everyone was amazed. Didn't you just have a baby? How are you looking like this? How are you looking like a virgin? You just had a baby. So I had all those wonderful comments, and every single female in the bank reached out to me saying, whatever you did, you've got to help me. So I started helping them, and that was like a pure hobby. Like, I just loved that for the first time in my life. You mean I can actually help someone? So I felt really, really good at it. I mean, I just kept doing it. And not a day went by without someone reaching out to say, Senna, help me. I started thinking, hold on, this is actually quite interesting. And now their friends say, oh, you know what, you helped this friend of mine, and I want you to help me. And I get called, where are you calling from? Tamale. I'm Tamale? Yes, because you helped a friend of mine in Accra, and I want you to help me. That sounded really interesting. I was like, okay, could there be something for me? I still didn't think it was a business. I still felt maybe I could really be that girl that helps other women, and I prayed about it, because prior to that, I had explored several other stuff. I had done like other entrepreneurship, like selling clothes and shoes, and ended up wearing all of them. When the customers were not coming, hey, I wear them. So I mean, I tried several things that didn't work. So I was like, am I really going to start something in helping people as a business? But I prayed about it, because I'm a woman of faith. So, and then the more I prayed, the more the urges grew deeper. The urges grew deeper and deeper and deeper. And it got to a point where I thought, hold on, I think this is my calling. But of course, I didn't have that much faith to just jump out immediately. So I was still doing it alongside my, banking, career and all that. But it got to a point where I was so convinced, because I had amazing colleagues. I loved what I was doing in the bank. I was working in the IT department, which was really flexible, because we had a lot of time on our hands. If it's not a busy time, you have all the time. So I really enjoyed it. But at the point, I thought, look, I've outgrown the space. I thought there has to be more.
The banking space.
Yes, in the banking space. I thought there has to be more. Could I do more with my life? Is it just you're here at the end of the month, you get paid, you pay your bills, you get, because you see, in like the normal career, like you can see, you can plan, like everything is there. When you do this, you get this promotion, you can get this and that and that. But beyond all that, is that it? Beyond all that. So, I mean, these were very tough questions, like you said, tough questions that I had to ask myself, and I mean, that final decision to really leave the bank, my safety net, to try like the world of the unknown, really came up when I asked myself, you don't know how long you're going to live on this earth. What if you die like at 30 years, 40 years? But no one knows how long we're going to live on it. Would you regret not taking this decision? When I made that decision, I realized we don't have like 1,000 years to live. That was like what made it so easy for me to just say goodbye to, this banking that, Bank of Ghana, retire, get plenty money, to just following my passion. Yeah, so that's how it started. And yeah, 10 years now, and you see the rest is history.
Yes.
It's been an incredible journey. Yeah.
I'm hearing lots of interest, passion. I heard calling, and I also heard opportunity. So I'm just looking at how it connects. When you are driven by something that's bigger than you, how it creates opportunities by itself. So I'm not sure you thought that taking that decision to work on yourself as your own interest would lead to other people saying, can you do this for me as well?
Yes.
So that's a massive opportunity you couldn't have predicted. So let's note that down. When you actively pursue something that actually gives value, you mentioned impact.
Yeah.
Some way, somehow, opportunity is created.
Yes.
As to how it happens, we cannot explain, but it's clear.
Yeah.
I wish the presentation had given us metrics so that we can work with numbers. Even with the audience we have here, we would have seen that the numbers are real. But you were able to move by your own conviction. You asked yourself questions about if you had shorter time here on earth, what should you not do, what should you do? Would you regret not taking an action? So how do people generally, how should people embrace career shifts? Because I know lots of adults that are stuck in their career path because they can't move.
Yes.
What is out there, the uncertainty? How do we embrace that shift?
It's a very good question, because I remember when when I was that process of making that decision, I had to speak to my mentors, I had to speak to my bosses in the bank. I said, look, I have this burning desire, like I just can't sleep. I just feel that I need to really do this full time. Many of them said to me, Senna, sit down. Let me tell you the truth. I feel stuck. I should have made this decision when I was having, those nudges earlier in my career, but I didn't. Now I'm almost 60 years, and I feel that where am I going to start from? I was shocked to have your manager saying this to you, that I'm being very honest with you. I'm so proud of you that you're making this decision. And when I finally stepped out, you would not believe the number of managers that reached out to me. I don't know how you did it, but I'm also thinking about doing this. So sometimes we take that decision, like the narrow path. It might feel very lonely, but you will not believe the number of people you'll be inspiring just by making that decision. We need to understand that there's a purpose for everyone on earth. Every single person, there's a purpose. Like God created you here for a reason. And the fact that we are still alive, breathing right now, it means there's still something to be done. It's a journey, making that discovery, but it's worth exploring. Like, these are questions that you need to ask yourself. The earlier you start, the earlier you're going to get your answers. But it's not something that you're going to start asking yourself now, oh, what's my purpose? What more can I really do? What impact can I make? And the next moment you get a response. It doesn't work like that. It takes time, but it is worth pondering over every day, every single day. If that's like the only thing you're going to take out from this meeting, please, from now till whenever you get to that point where you think, I am very convinced that whatever career path I'm on, that's not to say that everyone go into entrepreneurship, but it just for you to know where you're supposed to be. Yes, there are people who are supposed to be in the bank. There are people who are supposed to be engineers, whatever, but you need to be sure where you are is where God wants you to be. Because you see, when you are there, the impact you're going to make will be mind-blowing. Like, you're not just going to just survive, like where you feel that you're going to work and it feels like a chore. I mean, there are many people who go to work and it's like a chore. That should not be the case, where they're just waiting for their 2 weeks holidays and then they take all the stress off. No, your work should feel that, like, it should feel like a breeze. Like, you should look forward to going to work. If you are not at that place, then maybe you're not at the right place. You need to ask these tough questions. What is my purpose? What am I here to do? What impact can I make? And it doesn't matter. You're not too young to start asking these questions. You're not too old either to start asking these questions. So these are very tough questions, but it's really worth asking yourself till you get to the point. Because when you get there, you will know. When you get to that point, you will know that, gosh, finally I found it. And I'm so excited about it. Yeah, you will know.
The interesting thing I find from this conversation is that there are people who are scared to take action because they don't want to make any mistake.
Yeah.
So you're crippled to move.
Yeah.
Mainly because you are afraid that you could make the wrong decision. Yeah. So it lead you to the wrong path.
Yeah.
Now, for someone who studied math majorly, went into banking, do you feel your education influenced your current job, your current profession?
Okay, so that's a very good question. And this is the exciting thing. Whether you're in the wrong career, like whatever past experience you have, everything will come to play when you finally find that place. I'm into health now, but making that decision, like, I mean, I recently graduated from University of Bristol, where I did a master's in public health, nutrition, and physical activity. My research won the best research of the year last year. I got a distinction, and getting into the school was because of my degree in computer science and maths. I didn't have a health background, but when they saw the past academic qualification, they said, look, we're going to give you the chance. So sometimes your past, whether it is career, might not directly kind of, might not directly correlate to whatever you're doing. So for instance, health, whatever experiences that I learned in the banking industry, like customer service, like empathy, all of that is playing in TNU. You know, by the grace of God, TNU has impacted over 5,000 people from over 10 different countries. We have coaches from, Egypt, from the US, from several countries. How would we have been able to manage all this team if it hadn't been from the experience that I had from the bank? You know, so whatever you find yourself doing, this is one thing that sometimes you might feel, oh, I'm not in the right place, so let me just hang in there. No, give it your best shot. It doesn't matter whether you feel like, oh, I hate my boss. Give it your best shot, because you'll be amazed at people are watching you. Like some of the clients that TNU manages are a corporate client, you know, like client that we worked with, client that I have personally, gone into their places to look for businesses. But because of the kind of work I did as an employee in the bank, some of my bosses bring client to me. Why would they do that? It's because when I found myself working in a place where I felt this was the wrong place, I still work like my life depended on it. You know, so whilst you're waiting to get, don't wait till you get to your dream job, then you can be that star. No, you're in the wrong place. Because even in IT, like when I was in the bank, IT, there was a time where something happened, some friction, and then my boss decided, you know what, let's take her to customer service. I don't want her in IT. Someone would have said, oh, why are they moving me without my permission? Let me just be this unhappy person. No, I decided when life gives you, lemon, do a lemonade with it. Like there's that saying about every dark cloud, there's a silver lining. So I embraced the opportunity and I decided, look, I'm going to be like the best person in this customer service. And guess what? Within a week, the MD recognized me. Before I knew it, I had offers to go into marketing. Like I never dreamt that I would go into marketing. So from IT, I did marketing before I started doing TNU full time. And the marketing, little did I know God was actually preparing me for TNU. So when that move came, I went to customer service. I still gave it my best shot. And then they said, who is this girl? Where have you been all this while? Because, when you're in IT, nobody sees you because you're hidden. Then suddenly everyone, it was like outdooring. And it's all because I gave it my best. So my advice is, whilst you're waiting for your dream job, your dream company, wherever you find yourself, just be the best person you can be. And you may never know.
It's interesting because I would have thought that you got into your master's because of TNU.
No, absolutely not.
Because that's a health-related activity.
Yeah.
But for you to tell me it's based on your degree.
Yes.
Can we actually connect the dots? Because I would have expected that, for example, if you're a law student, you want to do a master's in law, in something very legal, right?
Yeah.
To take a different master's, I'm a lawyer, but I took a master's in finance. I had mates in my class who told me, aren't you missing it?
Yes.
Because they're thinking, what job would you get with that?
Yeah.
Right? But you're telling me your background has the potential
Absolutely.
to even still set you ahead.
Absolutely.
That's refreshing to know, because it makes you not be afraid to take steps.
Absolutely.
So whatever steps you're taking, you make the most out of it, knowing that they all work together.
Yes.
Eventually, they all come together.
Absolutely.
It's difficult to really pen things out into one big puzzle. We'll be given jigsaw.
Yeah.
Just putting them together one after the other. I hope you're learning something. Great. But now it takes me to my question of our perception of failure. I would go back to using lawyers as an example. To go to LLB, your degree level, and not go to Makola is like a death sentence. Right? So starting something and not finishing, I get that for accountants as well. Not, chattering. It almost feels like you have failed. But there are those who actually went through and realized this wasn't it. It's another sense of failure. And those who took a different path and they also think, am I lost? But one of my favorite quotes is, not all who wander are lost. How do we blend all these extreme ends into ensuring that we are taking steps and then we believe that it will take us somewhere?
That's very interesting. I used to think that failure is when you start something and you don't complete it. It's like once you do that, it means you're a failure. But now that definition has completely changed. Failure to me is staying stuck in a place that no longer serves you. That's failure. You know this place no longer serves you. You know your spirit, your soul does not want to be here, but you're still there. That, to me, that is failure. So it really doesn't matter that you started something. And that's also one of the reasons why a lot of people are afraid to, say, venture out. Because to them, they're going to become this laughing stock once they start this new business and it fails. I mean, people are going to say, oh, did you see that? He or she started this, and the person no longer is operating in that business. That's our definition, like the world's definition, but that isn't. You know yourself. You know that this is no longer serving you. Like your spirit, like you feel that it's not, like you're not thriving in that place. And there's this saying, when Peter jumped out of the boat, he was the only person that walked on water. He walked on water just for a few seconds or a few minutes. I mean, I was doing parasailing in a very deep ocean a couple of days ago. And then I was asking myself, did Peter really walk on a water like this? The reason why he walked on water was because he took the step to get out of the boat. You would never get a chance to walk on water, even if for just a few seconds, if you stay in the boat. You need to get to that point where you make a decision. But that was what helped in my decision. I was like, look, would you ever get a chance to walk on water, even if it's for just a few minutes? The only way would be to get out of this boat. And that boat, for a lot of people, it could be that office where you know that you've outgrown the space, but because of fear, you're still there. You will never, ever get to discover the other, because there's really more. Like, I truly believe this, because I've seen how, the client of TNU, many people have, like, their whole lives have changed completely because now they've been able to discover the other aspect of their lives, where you just begin to feel, wow, I didn't know that there was more. I didn't know I could ever get the opportunity to send a video to the US Department of State. How could I have ever thought that the Secretary of State would send tweets about my story? That only happened because I made a decision to get out of the boat. So failure is when you feel you remain stuck, even though your heart and soul tells you it's time to get out of the space.
Great. I would give us a chance to ask questions, but I believe most of us here are in the degree academic route for our professions. But what about the non-degree options? Because even those who have finished university, done masters, sometimes PhD, still now finish and they want to do the non-degree options. How do we embrace it as early on as possible? Because now we can tell TVET is the way to go for lots of these international organizations. It's being heavily advocated for. However, is it too late for some of us to jump on? Can I become a makeup artist after finishing a PhD? Will it be a failed career? or we should embrace it that I didn't go to university, and from senior high school, I wanted to be a makeup artist. How do we balance it out?
Right. So, I mean, I mentioned that I have 4 kids. Growing up, I mean, how dare you tell your dad that, Dad, I want to become a makeup artist. I want to sew. Like, it just sounds so ridiculous. You know, my son would tell you, Mommy, I want to be a musician. If my son were to say that to like the grandfather, he's late, but I said, are you all right? You mean all this Montessori school fees is for that? But it really doesn't matter whatever career you end up. What really matters is if you believe that is what you're being called for. Because everyone is being called for something. Like, I know people who have been to all the Ivy League schools and then they come back, I want to be a carpenter. It really doesn't matter. So I am actually encouraging, I mean, my children, whatever my daughter says she want to be a rapper, yeah, go for it. Whatever it is. Because when it's all said and done, it's not really about who had the biggest title, director of whatever, like some of the names I can't even pronounce. Because you see people who have all the money, and then you hear of someone committing suicide. Yeah, so why would you commit suicide? Because it's not just about titles. It's not just about the corner office. It's really about knowing that the purpose on earth has been fulfilled. If that means being a carpenter, if that means being a makeup artist, if that means being a rapper, if that means being whatever. For me, what I think that a lot of people need to start doing is start speaking to mentors, coaches very early on. Like, I really wish I had done that earlier, you know, and then start reading the right books. You know, I'm actually happy we are Anansi, you know, very amazing, you know, resources that, because you see, the more you expose yourself, the more you realize, oh, this thinking is just Ghanaian thinking, African thinking. We are really limiting ourselves once you begin to just box yourself, to just follow that linear path.
Yes, and you mentioned grandfather, you mentioned father. We will be honest with ourselves to know that our parents play a major role in our early career decision making. I get the younger ones now, they're more vocal. They can say, I don't want this. And the parents are, you know, they're able to
align.
But before, we grew up in a system where you have to finish what you started. Now, we have parents as one of the factors that influence our decision making. We have, you know, employers, for example, the opportunities that you have, your bosses are likely going to determine where you'll be going, because whatever role you're giving, you would have to live that role.
Absolutely.
These factors that influence our decision making, how do we apply wisdom to navigate them whilst making the best of what we have with the intention of leveraging it for the future? How do we position ourselves well?
Right. So one of the things that I would advise when you find yourself in a corporate place, as quickly as possible, try to, you know, get close to some of the top people, you know, I mean, because one of the reasons why I was able to find a lot of clarity was because one of the directors happened to be my mentor. I forced him. I said, you have to be my mentor. Because like, I started reading more and I realized there was more. I just didn't know how to achieve it. Like, I just felt there was more to my life, you know, but I just didn't know. I just felt there was so much inside of me. So I had to get someone to start speaking to. It's really, really important, because I mean, there are many people out there who would also really love the opportunity to mentor someone, to also coach someone. So if you can identify someone, whether in your office space or even in church or whatever circle you find yourself, you can identify someone that you can start speaking to, because as a young person, you have a lot of dreams. You know, I mean, it's not all the dreams that would serve you well. So sometimes it helps to speak to the right people, especially people who are, you know, more experienced than you, who have made some mistake, and they can really share some of their pitfalls, and you can try to avoid it. So I really think that trying to get that kind of coaching, it's really important. But most importantly, there's that still voice everyone has. Just really, because when you make, yes, it's good to speak to mentors and all that, but you speak to them. What gives you that peace? That peace that makes your pillow like feels super, super soft in the night, because you sleep and you sleep like a baby, you know. So try to just build that sense of awareness, that discernment, because if you're able to build it, sometimes even when you get the wrong counsel, because it could be friends, you know, people can, it's so easy for people to, like the fears people have, if you're not careful, if you want to make a decision because of their fear, they might influence you, because they might say, hey, be careful. Because I mean, I made that decision to leave the bank. I missed COVID, you know, and then some of the top people said, look, this is not a good time because this is COVID. COVID is unpredictable. You may never know what's going to happen, you know. And then they also cited example about, oh, there was this wife who did something like that, and now their marriage has become, you know, because there's a lot of financial pressure. So people use either their personal examples or examples of others. So you have to be a bit careful. It's good to get a counsel, but ultimately, you yourself, that inner voice, believe in that inner voice, you know, and then just pray about it, and you will be able to get a lot of clarity, even if you find yourself in the wrong place. Once you are aware that you're working towards that place where you believe this is your purpose, you will eventually get there.
I would want to hear from the audience your experiences with choosing a career path that you're sure of, or navigating one you're not sure of. Somebody. I want to hear from the extreme end. Yes.
Thank you. Hello. Yes. So I'm a lawyer by profession, and there are different areas of law. I mean, we don't just practice law broadly. We have family law, we have litigation, oil and gas, finance. And one thing that helped about the place that I work at is when you first get employed, you are mandated to rotate, and work in the various practice groups or the various practice areas to now discover which area you think you want to specialize in. And it's interesting because the normal path we usually take, or you're advised to take as students, is that right after you get your undergrad, go and do a master's. But most of the time, you don't even know what you want to do. You're still discovering what your interests are. And so I've met many people who, right after undergrad, they went to do a master's in, let's say, international relations, finance, and whatnot, and they came back to Ghana and they're doing something completely different. They realized that this is actually not what I wanted to pursue in law. So I didn't take that path. I started to practice and then discover what area of law that I'm passionate about. And I mean, I've been practicing for about 4 years now. And as I practice, I realized that I have interest in technology law, which is an emerging area of law. And in following that passion, just as you guys shared, the things just aligned, opportunities just spring up. And you realize that there's more demand in that space. There are more trainings in that space. There are more fellowships, and in just being obedient, to the Holy Spirit or to that nudge, that intuition, you find that you don't find your job to be as draining as if you were not doing something you're passionate about, and more doors open for you to even decide to maybe leave that company and to pursue something more impactful. So with me, I navigated as I went along, and I discovered what I wanted to really hone in on. So
anyone else who wants to share with us? Yes, there's a lady in there.
Okay, so growing up, both parents were fashion designers. Yeah, so ideally, you would think that my dad wanted me to be a fashion designer. But in junior high, we had a science program. and I won for my school. So my teachers also felt that I should pursue a course in science, which is nursing. So I think I did science in senior high school. And after senior high, I was confused because naturally I love to sew. I just love the idea of playing with a sewing machine, creating something with fabric. And I also love to take care of people. So I was torn between the two. But like she said, I prayed about it. And then what actually convinced me was that I had a dream that I was training people how to sew and also sewing. So when I woke up from the dream, I just knew exactly what I wanted to do. Because my friends were already in school pursuing their dreams, and I was still at home planning on what to do with my life because I didn't want to go to uni and I'll come back and regret not pursuing my passion. And I must say, it's been fulfilling. Yeah. Yeah.
Great. I'm curious to know who has felt disappointed for jumping out of their linear path. The linear path being the conventional, what we know. Who has felt some disappointment in stepping out of it as a bold move, out of passion, out of conviction? Anyone who can share with us? Or know somebody who has? Since the anyone?
I would say disappointed,
Right.
but probably no workout as expected. So, I mean, I had a part-time clothing brand,
Right.
something that, I mean, I've always been creative. I like to explore.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to be a dancer when I was younger. So I was into just creating artwork and printing them on, garments and then selling them. I wouldn't say it failed because we all have different measurements of failure, but it definitely did not scale as I thought it would. And my intention was never to go there full time, but I was still following, that interest to see where it would lead. And I mean, after a while, I realized that it was not making as much profits as I would have wanted to. So I just, put it to the side. But what I would say is I still had a lot of, I felt alive while I was doing that. That spark, that interest, it was always a joy to go out there, create something, have people buy it. So we never felt like I wasted my time. No.
Right.
I still learned customer service along the way. I learned marketing. I learned many things, but I just knew when to stop, like she said. And I've been able to apply that even in, my profession and the other interests that I'm pursuing.
So I'm hearing things about things you've learned along the way. But I think when we think of the linear career path, we think of it as roles, as job portfolios. Do we say there's a rise in skill acquisition as a career development tool as compared to aiming for a role? So can you just wake up and say, I want to be the MD for a bank? Is that a feasible language still? Does it still work that way? Or we think of it as acquiring skills? I think I want to hear from the audience. What's your perspective on that? What do you think of what you learn along the line, or your proficiency in tools, proficiency in, I would say, skills anyways? What are you gathering? Do we see that as a new channel for career development as opposed to job portfolios? Let me know your thoughts. Yes.
Okay, so my name is Benjamin, and I think more has to do with skills now, based on my experience, because with where I am now, it all started from me just trying to learn it too, this Canva stuff, and along the line, I started gaining clients. Through that, I learned how to deal with clients, on a more professional basis. Because initially, it's just like, oh, do this for me, and I just mentioned the price, and that was it. But just wanting to do more, I also learned there was a better way to treat clients. Then it got to the stage where I now had to hold community labs for for Canva and all of that. Through that, I had to learn how to deal with people, how to even hold events, because it wasn't something I'd done before. And gradually, I believe where I am now is because of the skills and things I learned along the way. If it had to do with just build my portfolio, I'm not sure I would have been here by now, because what even brought me to this role I am right now was just I didn't even have to do an interview. All I was told was you're the best person for the job because of what you've done and what you can do, and that was it. So I think that's the new way. And even from some webinars and conferences I've attended, a lot of the speakers get to talk about skills more than just portfolios and all of that. It's almost on what you can do and the skills you've acquired along the line. So I think that's the new way right now.
Great. So I would just add on to that, and I think my perspective would be, it's easy to choose any role or an opportunity based on survival, or even sometimes to prove a point that you also got your foot in the door. But one thing I've realized is that it's key to align your own goals with the goals of the organization you're joining. So ask yourself, what are you learning there? What are you becoming in the role that you're being put in? If it's a business, what are you developing on the way? Because it's easy to say I'm a creative. My colleague here will speak more to that. And you can't make a business out of it. Then you can't survive on it. Then it looks like it's a failed venture. Meanwhile, if you had been more intentional about the space you're in, the role you're in, there could have been some things you would gather by just aligning. Because if you have been given a role or you've applied and be successful for a role, there are demands of you. How do you even go out of your scope? Just becoming. How do you do better? How do you learn from your colleagues, your environment? Last month's conversation touched on this. It's because you learn from formal ways and informal ways, through people, through situations, through organizations, through even your appreciation of where you find yourself. How do you learn as you go? That should be one top question for you today. So you don't say I'm in a wrong space, or even I'm in the right space, because you could be in the right space and still miss it. Unfortunately, lots of people are missing it. So my last question before we go, and I would love to have any questions from the audience. Ooh. Yes, please do. Hi.
Assuming that I felt like I was in the wrong space, and I started thinking of something else that I wanted to do, would you advise me to jump into my new interest or my passion, or continue working in a space where I feel like I'm not really fulfilling my purpose, whilst putting my dreams on the side, or like using it as a hobby? Would you advise jumping into this new interest or trying to manage the two at the same time?
Okay, all right. So, well, there would always be bills to be paid, right? So if your new interests is very, very new, you haven't really tested it, I would highly recommend that you do it alongside, till you get to a point where, you would never get to the point where you feel, okay, that's it. Even when you get there, because I remember when I was testing the waters, I said, when I get to X amount of revenue, I would leave. When I got to X amount, I said, let me push the goalpost a bit. And I said, okay, now when we pay off our mortgage, our everything, and we have this, we leave. I would quit and then do it full time. We got there, and I still felt, let me wait a bit. Because you would always feel, what if, it would never leave you, but when the what if, just give yourself the minimum that you think you will be okay, because it's faith. If you're testing the water, it is just faith, so you say, God, what if I fall, but what if I fly? You know, so just have that faith and putting in the work, because that's a part that we don't really get to talk about, because it always sounds like, oh, once you have your passion, that's it, just going to be one rosy path. Absolutely not. It's going to be working 2-4-7. It's going to mean getting more gray hair than your friends who are in the safety net. You know, so you have to ask yourself, am I willing to pay the price? Because if you're not, don't bother. But if you're willing to pay the price, absolutely yes. But just try it a bit till you get to the point where you can say, look, I'm willing to pay the price to get to this dream that I really want to pursue.
And I'll just add on a little to that. There's always a knowing.
Yeah.
It's one thing that you mentioned God has given to all of us. There's always that knowing. And some people ask, how do you know the knowing? Right? It's like that cycle, vicious cycle. Which one comes first? But at the point where you have to move, you will know. It means you have to be intentional enough to be sensitive. So do what you do well, whether it's what you want or what you want to leave. Still commit to it. Commit to the things you can commit to the side. And I can use this platform as an example. And I'm glad I get to use it as an example. The time I thought about it, that was 3 years ago. And I have lots of witnesses here to see how we started. We were clueless. But we had a passion to reach the youth. And the background was that we see lots of career decisions being done wrongly. But we started off with, looking into the circular economy as a solution, as emerging economies, right? Emerging trends in jobs. So we look at the creative industry, we look at the circular economy, just to see if that's where solution really lies. But not everybody can be a creative. Not everybody can go into the sustainable energy space, even though it's emerging. Not everybody can learn how to code, whether we like it or not. However, what do you do with what you can do? We still need lawyers. So even though I left the practice, I still encourage people who want to go for it. Because maybe it is for you. Maybe it wasn't for me. Maybe it will be for me in the future. We all don't know that for a fact. So don't look at it as what I'm leaving versus what I want. Look at it as, who am I becoming? Even if the vision has to tarry for a moment, we know from the word of God, it doesn't tarry. It's clear. I think we have expectations of when things should happen. I advocate for planning, but I'm not stuck on planning. I give room for flexibility and to say, it's not working the way you wanted it to work. You just take a step back and watch it. You do, and then you realize, indeed, the right time would always find you aligned. So we don't want to prescribe a one-size-fits-all, and that's why we are not choosing any career space to advocate. All we are saying is, whatever you want to do, whatever you're doing now, use it to the best of your advantage. I think my legal training gave me some foundations that I needed for my life. I may not be practicing it as a job, but then I'm still using it. Maybe because I wouldn't double think starting this platform was because I had the opportunity to show up in many, many, many ways from my background. But somebody will be so freaked out. And the question is, why are you freaking out? It's because you have assessed your exposure, you've assessed your capacity. Go about whatever you're doing. Do it well, do it now, do it later. There's no benchmark. You are your own benchmark. So you don't want the case where you are marking yourself lowly and highly in areas that you have no business in assessing. Just do your best. But know that there's also a wave, right? The wave is fast coming at us. So how do you stay sensitive to know your position in the whole wave? That's all. You good? Wonderful. Next question. Right.
When you take that faith, you pursue that interest, pursue that passion like you did with TNU, can you give us like some advice on how you refine your craft, how you ensure that you're actually able to skill, how you didn't limit your mentality to thinking, okay, serving just 100 people in Ghana is enough, but you're able to even think of the possibility of reaching people all across the globe? Because many people, like you said, take that leap of faith and they think that's it, but there's work to be put in. So what do you advise someone who is ready to take that leap of faith in giving themselves more exposure and refining their craft so that they can actually fulfill their dreams?
All right, I really love that question. The biggest mentality that I've had has been, this is not for profit. When you think about profit first, you might miss it. Because beyond the profit, what difference are you making in someone's life? You know, so TNU was never started for profit. We just wanted to impact in the health of women. You know, so whoever comes into the community, we want them to love the community so much. Even when they leave, they talk about the community. You know, so we take every client as like a queen. So our clients are actually queens. That's how we call them. And it's just because we really wanted, because the TNU community is to support women, for those who want to lose weight, for those who want to maintain their weight, for those who want to, you know, have a flat tummy, work on some areas of their bodies you're not comfortable with. How do we ensure that beyond that, the physical result they get mentally, we get their mindset to change? Because be transformed by the renewal of your mind. So we always say that we don't just transform your physical body, we transform your mind as well. And when someone tries to transform your mind, they leave a mark on you. You know, so I mean, the opportunity we had with the US Department of State, for instance, it was one of the clients who experienced TNU and said, oh my goodness. So a client in Ghana experienced it and was just talking about the brand to someone who happened to work in the White House. That was it. So whoever, it's like, for a lot of people, they want to get 1,000 clients before you start treating them like, if it's just 10 clients, treat them like they are your all. You know, give them your everything. And that was what we did in TNU, you know, and then we're quite flexible because our mindset was, look, you don't have to physically come to a space before we can transform you. It's mindset. So it doesn't matter whether you're in Ghana, whether you're in the US, you're in Canada, wherever, you know, regardless of your geographical location, TNU can support you. So we're really flexible, and now we do a lot of corporate, from banks to educational institutions. So you just have to be flexible, but most importantly, beyond the profit, tell yourself every single client must remember your brand. Yeah.
Thank you, Senna. I have one question for the audience. What is your key takeaway from this conversation? I'd love to hear from as many people as possible, so we wrap up.
I took a lot of things from you. Well, I'm taking a lot of things out of you. Many gems that one thing that for sure will stick with me is you are never going to be sure or 100% sure when it's time. But if you believe in yourself, then you can start. Personally, I know it's going to be hard. As you think about the bills to be paid, as you think about expectations your parents have, you expectations that your friends have, your colleagues have, and especially if, for example, you're in a class of law students and you go to LinkedIn and you see everybody in a law firm, or you were in a class with engineering students, and then you go somewhere and all your colleagues are there fulfilling careers in engineering, then it sort of triggers you that, did I fail? So, I mean, if it all starts with what you believe in, and, you know, trying to sort of like circle out yourself from all the noise and believing that if you take the step, you're going to make it. And there's going to be some disappointment. I think I wanted to speak to that question that you asked too. For me, the disappointment, it was just a little disappointing. I wasn't disappointed in shifting, but I was disappointed in myself for thinking that
if I shifted, I'll meet different people. It's disappointed in the fact that human beings are the same. The fact that you've shifted from, say, corporate or conventional to unconventional doesn't mean you're going to meet totally different people. You're going to meet the same people who are everywhere. But what gives me fulfillment in shifting is that I'm creating impacts that makes me happy, makes me fulfilled. And so it's more about the impact. And if you shift, the reason you shifted was because you wanted to break away from expectations. And so if you shift and you're still giving yourself too much expectations, then you've not really transformed. You don't understand the reason of shifting. So you should sort of like give yourself that flexibility we're talking about, not to be shackled with so many expectations of what should be right or what should be wrong or what it should be like. You are creating opportunities for yourself. You are reimagining, creating new roles for yourself. You are learning skills that people thought would not amount to anything. So you are just, it's a journey of learning. It's a journey of proving to people this would work, this might not work. If this doesn't work, I'll try again. It's the fact that you've shifted means you are going to go on a roller coaster. It means you are going to try different things. You didn't want to be stuck in a box that people said this is the way to do it from now until you retire. You wanted to shift to unconventional. You wanted to shift to something different. It means that there's going to be a lot of unexpected outcomes. But how do you navigate? How do you navigate through that journey? I think that's really where you know you are thriving. The fact that something hits you today, and then you wake up the next day, say, I'm going to keep moving because I know that this is how it's going to be like for me. And in some years to come, I'm going to give a testament to the fact that I was able to navigate a world of so many unexpected outcomes, a world of so many uncertainties, people telling me, I really didn't think you were going to make this, but you did. So I think that's my takeaway, to know that this pathway is not going to be smooth because I decided that I don't want to have the safety net or the pathway that is so easy for me. So yeah, I guess my takeaway is I know it's not going to be easy. I'm going to be scared almost every day, but if I believe I'm going to make change, then I'm going to keep on doing what I love doing. Yeah.
Thank you. Wonderful. We have a hand in the back.
Okay, thank you. My name is Frida. I actually have stayed longer than I planned to stay. I brought my little girl for classes and I'm sure they are done. I had to leave, but it's an interesting session I'm listening to. And I love to always adapt to knowledge. So in fact, when I came in earlier, the place was empty. I asked what they were going to do. I said, okay, then I was going to hang around and then come in later to hear and adapt to my knowledge. And I'm a banker, but I don't think I want to be a banker. Yes, but that is where I find myself because I got to pay bills, because I have to survive. I'm happy the new breed of parents coming are more receptive to their kids' ambitions. Like you said earlier on, some of us didn't have that opportunity. You dare not. Then you are counted, you are not part of the children. You dare not go the path that your dad or your mom wants you to go. My background has always been science. At a point, I wanted to do medicine outside. I got an opportunity to study nursing at Confanoche. At a point, I did my attachment at Kolebu. So it's been health and science for me. But some way, somehow, I found myself in the banking industry. And I think from experience, as a young person, it's all nice, it's all good, especially when you are young, especially when you are not married, and all those things. Oh, I'm a banker, I'm this, and all those things. But as you grow, because it's the space is not your personal space, like you are just being controlled in so many ways. So you may not even have the time for other things. So in the beginning, you may not really feel or understand what we are saying. You know, that the earlier you find what you feel passionate about, like our facilitator said, yes, someone can have a passion in banking and law and all those things. It's fine. But it doesn't have to be, that's why we're educating ourselves. It doesn't have to be because daddy said, mommy said, and so you are not passionate about it. As a woman, for me, I think it's even worse. It's even worse. From the beginning, it's okay. But as you go, as family comes in and all that, you'd see that if you follow something that you are passionate about, yes, you wake up and then it's not like it's not like a chore for you to, but because you are passionate about it, even with the overwhelming duties that you still have to do, because you're passionate about it, you are able to, I mean, still make it a good day. So my advice to the younger ones is to really take this seriously. Think about it, pray about it, and then go for it. And with God, all things are possible. Thank you.
I'd like to say something. Yeah, I remember when I was choosing my career, I went for a career session like this, and then the speaker said something that your career is what will carry you for life. So when you're choosing your career, you should think of what you would do for the rest of your life, and that really got me stuck. It stuck with me until date. Is still with me, and so my take home is that I know the fear of the unknown always keeps us from doing what we're supposed to do. But hearing the stories that have been shared so far, it's inspiring. And so we keep pushing no matter what. And we're going to leave the comfort zone and explore new territories. Yeah.
Thank you. So Senna, take us away with the last words. What should we go from here, holding it on onto our waist?
Right. So what I'd like to say, Jesus lived for 33 years, and we're still talking about Jesus. You know, Miles Monroe. I don't know how many of you know him. You know, if you don't know him, please listen to. I mean, he has loads of podcasts and stuff like that on YouTube. Very, very, very inspirational. He lived till 60 years, and I still listen to him, and he still feels very alive. You know, Steve Jobs, we all know him. Many of you use his product. Lived 56 years. We are still using his product. Now ask yourself, when you're gone, what do you want to be remembered for? When you start thinking about what you want to be remembered for, you make the decision of whether to stay or whether to move very easy. So always think about it. What do you want to be remembered for? Because there's going to be a day of reckoning. That day will come. What you want the world to remember you for should lead you to make the right decision for your career. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senna. So I'll just end by saying, let's not chase job titles anymore. It's so outdated. We can state here for a fact that the future of work is not about job roles or portfolios. It's really about proficiency. And when we talk about that, we make reference to skills. So who are you becoming in the process? Wherever you find yourself, linear path, non-linear path. So it may sound as if we are advocating for non-linear. No. We just say embrace it. Embrace either ways, because it could be that your path is a linear one. Embrace it. But even whilst you're on the linear one, you would come across unconventional things. Embrace that as well. Don't be boxed, don't be caged, and don't be stuck. As our panelist said, if you remain stuck, that's what failure is. And that's my key takeaway. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Senna, for joining us.
Thank you, Jackie, for having me.
Really glad you could make it today. So I hope we all learned something. This is a Time Talk Show. and we are creating this platform to have holistic conversations. We like to think of it as a safe space to uncover all your career burdens. Bring it here, pour it all in. Let's talk about it together. We hope to see you next month, 4 Saturdays away from today, at the Nancy Library in East Legon, here in person. It's a better experience when you're here. But if you're unable to make it for any reason, our links are on YouTube, Time Talk Show, on Instagram and TikTok. Please follow us on all the social media handles, and giving credit to our key partners, Nancy Library. They're at East Legon. Please set them up and then subscribe. We want to ensure that we have a holistic education, which includes reading, research, and community. We like to miss that part. We call it networking in the advanced level of education. But community is important because you get to hear from someone's experiences. Nancy Library gives you that opportunity. So follow them on their social media handle as well, Nancy Library, and hope to see you next month. Thank you.